everyone, and welcome to Stoke the Fire. I have my colleague Pamela Cuccinell on the other screen and myself, Susan Mazzoli, here. Every week we offer you the Stoke the Fire astrological forecast for the week coming up, and that is offered by Pamela, astrologer extraordinaire. And I offer you a 10-minute turbo boost meditation, which is for us to use the week's astrological information, the currents of energy, to our greatest advantage, really spiritually actually, but also in a practical sense, so that we can feel the oneness of the universe and experience ourselves surfing the energies rather than bumping up against them or being really challenged by them, but using them as opportunities. Pam and I have been doing this for many, many years, and we're happy to share this with our subscribers on our special stokethefire.guru website, where you can sign up and join us and be a member of our group, and then you get this information sent to your mailbox before the week starts. And it is the encapsulated version, which is just Pamela's very clear 20-minute forecast and my 10-minute turbo boost, without all the rest of the blah, blah, blah that all of our YouTube people endure, or enjoy, rather. And if you'd like to join that group, please go to www.stokethefire.guru. And if you're interested to work with Pamela or myself individually, we'll give you a little bit more information about that later on. And now let me introduce my dear friend and colleague, Pamela Cuccinell, astrologer extraordinaire.
I like that, the extraordinaire. Anyway, yes, I suppose I am, because I'm an Aquarius and we tend to do things differently however we do it. So there is that unique spin, which everybody who's good at their art would bring. But as an astrologer, I tend to look at the world through the lens of symbolism. And so I'm going to start talking about February 26th, 2018. Those of you who are watching us on YouTube will basically be hearing some things about earlier in the day, and you'll be thinking, well, I didn't know that. But that's because our subscribers who sign up on stokethefire.guru get the, as Susie said, the encapsulated audio version the night before on Sunday, so that they can map out and plan out their week. So when we do it on the YouTube, which we let everybody share and see a piece of for free, of course, there's a lot of commercial broadcasting as well about what we do individually, because honestly, you folks don't know what we do. People who subscribe or are loyal clients of us know that the information we give them or the help we provide are worth whatever the payment is. So this is an introduction for you to know Susie and myself better and the different work we do. So I'm going to talk about February 26th, 2018, the week of, and starting with the 26th. The day began with the moon in the sign of Cancer. Now, when the moon is in a cardinal sign, Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra, it tends to go through what I've been calling the minefield of Uranus in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn. Whether or not it makes what we call really areas of tension by the time its travel through its sign is done has a lot to do with other variables of the day, where other planets, faster moving planets, are Venus, Mercury, Mars. In this case, on the 26th, the moon is in the sign of Cancer, and therefore it does enjoy some support from the planet Jupiter, which is in Scorpio. So there can be a magnification of whatever feeling is going on throughout the day, because the moon dictates the mood of the day. So when the moon is in the sign of Cancer, classically, just left to itself, people tend to want to nest. They want to be around places that feel like home to them. They may want to be around nature or bodies of water. They want to do things that make them feel fed and secure, garden, things that make them feel connected to the earth in some way and to the legacy of family. So nurturing is a very strong thing, anything therapeutic. These are all things to do, good things to do when the moon is in the sign of Cancer. But on this particular day, on the 26th, morning begins with a real strong need to be loved and express love. So ideally, you're in an environment where this can happen pre-dawn as you're waking into the day. If you live alone, don't forget to love yourself, most important person, because everything that you give and allow for yourself magnifies in an exponential way and touches every life you connect with. So that definitely is a hunger for the early part of the day. And then what happens as we get into early morning once dawn rises is that we can get into some sort of conflict or power struggle. This can sometimes happen within. So it can be a sensation of, I want to do this, but I'm thwarted on that. And or maybe you're exercising, you just can't get the chi into the movement. But do what's necessary to push yourself through whatever the power struggle is so that you're able to retain the most important piece of it. In other words, what matters in the expression of self or the recognition of something that needs to be said. And what matters is more important than necessarily winning. What matters is that it's acknowledged and recognized. So this revelation, acknowledgement, or adjustment then can take you into the later part of the day when you can recognize and attract certain support, even possibly financial support, depending on what you have on the table. And just know that something may disrupt or change the desired outcome. It doesn't mean that the overall goal or impulse won't get accomplished, but there has to be a willingness to segue or adjust with whatever is presented to you in order to maximize an opportunity that may be presenting itself. Also keep in mind, sometimes the opportunity is to release or step away from whatever it was you thought you wanted to be making happen. Because as a revelation or more information comes in, there can be the realization, this isn't really the right fit for my individual expression that I thought it was. Keep in mind all the times I give during these talks are Eastern time, so please adjust depending on where you are on the planet. So the moon goes void, of course, at 11:42 p.m. on February the 26th. And what that means when the moon goes void, of course, is it is no longer making an aspect to any other heavenly body before it changes signs. And the reason this is important is because if the moon shows us how we're emotionally connected and it's not making any relationship with another planet or symbol of another part of the psyche, the investment is not as extreme. It doesn't really matter as much. So conversations that may seem as though people are coming together or on the same page, or yeah, I want to do that, or sign me up, don't necessarily go anywhere. So it's just a few minutes up until midnight. Oh, I'm sorry, I said the wrong time. The moon goes void, of course, at 4:51 p.m. Sorry, that was a big mistake. So basically, it's late afternoon through evening that the moon is void, of course, and we're not making these kind of connections. So anything that's said or discussed, just recognize that probably isn't going to have the traction to go the distance. And if it's really important to you, whatever was said or discussed, or you wanted to get off the ground, you're going to have to bring it up at a more auspicious time, because moon void, of course, is not an auspicious time. So what I meant to say is that the moon enters Leo at 11:42 p.m. So after that rather long void, of course, of late afternoon into evening, it goes into the sign of Leo just before midnight. And that sets up the energy for the next couple of days. Now, the moon in Leo, very, very different energetically from the moon in Cancer. And what it's doing is it's carrying us from that new moon that occurred on February 15th, such an important new moon in Aquarius, the eclipse, when there was a catalyst for so many things that we see happening throughout the nation and the world. But now we're in a really strong thrust energy where we can carry the energy of whatever that new moon catalyst was and move in a way that has a lot more to do with self-expression. So young voices, youthful voices, Leo is the sign of the divine child. So that's going to be very prominent to anything creative, anything that has to do with stories, with visions, very, very strong on the 27th, Tuesday. Tuesday the 27th has a picture between Venus and Pluto in the early morning, which really sets up a connection for meeting people who share your values, even if you don't think they do. So it's almost like a seduction where people who ordinarily wouldn't necessarily agree or come together really feel a coalescing. That is highly, highly possible on Tuesday the 27th. Also, fresh ideas, new ideas, things that stimulate change. Very, very strong on Tuesday the 27th and on Wednesday the 28th. Wednesday the 28th, there may be certain kinds of a sense of overwhelm, especially that happens in midday, a sense that too many things coming in, too much information, too many choices. Best to make a decision and stay in one mode of thinking. But the overall tone of the day is inspiration and ideas that fly in with total lack of precedence. And out of the voices of babes. So a lot of what I call in tarot fool energy, where you get this lift of people who are willing to take chances, step outside of the box, fly without a net, just really, really assertive, energized, radiant, stimulating energy for Tuesday the 27th and Wednesday the 28th. The moon goes void, of course, at 6:13 p.m. on Wednesday the 28th, and so it is void in the sign of Leo through the next day. Just after midnight, it enters the sign of Virgo at 12:57 a.m. on March 1st. So the evening of February 28th is it should be a fun evening. In Leo, it should be playful. It should invite creativity. It should invite stories and all kinds of ideas, and be open to youthful thinking and self-expression. The full moon occurs at 7:51 p.m. on Thursday, March 1st. It's Purim for those who celebrate that holy day. The day begins with a lovely picture in the sky between Venus and Jupiter, which really strengthens a overall energy that has to do with healing and love. With the moon in Virgo, we are going to a full moon that really invites in a sense of how to integrate the idea of how we are all connected in the universal unconscious with what can we actually bring down to earth and channel in a constructive way. When the full moon is in the sign of Virgo, it's being infused by the energy of the Pisces sun. So the Virgo attention to details, need to do service, need to provide healing in the world, is taking in all this information about connection, ways that we relate that have to do with the unconscious, not with the verbal. So there's a real opportunity to let in how other people feel and to really listen and absorb another person's perspective and point of view. In our world where we see so much polarization and have for the past several years, to have the full moon be such a strong opportunity to invite in conversations that allow listening to the opposite side is really an invitation for growth. Unfortunately, even though the energy is poised to listen and to hear, there's not really resolution that comes from this particular full moon. However, it is an opportunity to put yourself in situations that maybe even promote a bit of discomfort so that you can move into a deeper spiritual journey. Part of what I'm seeing when I look at Thursday, March 1st, is that there's a willingness or a desire to connect spiritually. There's almost an open wound quality that really permeates the day, where people may feel a strong sense of being victimized, regardless of what side of the fence they're on. So you can look at the battered spouse feeling a strong sense of victimization. On the other hand, the predator or batterer spouse looks at, yes, but this situation happened because of. And so we see how all the open wounds create and perpetuate continued polarity where it's so hard to come together. So whatever the situation, whether it's a political discussion or a rift that you're experiencing from a loved one, or a situation in which you find yourself, a coworker situation perhaps, or even a situation that can happen within your own body, where it feels like your body is the enemy to your healing. These are times of profound revelation that can occur with this full moon. But what it requires is it requires deep listening to the origin of the wound. Because unless we understand the origin of the wound, we can't get to the root of what is actually the solution or the antidote to the problem. It makes me think of when Susie talks about homeopathy and how that little piece of whatever it is needs to be discovered in order to promote the healing. But in order to get there, you have to kind of solve the problem or the puzzle of what began, what is the root of the wound, whatever that may be. And I know Susie can talk more about homeopathy, but that's what I'm looking at when I see this Virgo Pisces schism with this particular full moon. Then on Friday, the 2nd, after our opportunity to integrate, which is what a full moon always offers us, how do you integrate the thing that seems to you to be so much the other? So, you know, what is it that you seem so polarized about, or so is such a schism within you? How do you integrate those pieces in order to come to resolution and understanding? Full moons are bridge energies. So once you pass that, how bizarre. Siri just went on for no reason. Okay. So once you pass that on March 2nd, March 2nd, the moon goes void, of course, at 6:50 p.m., 6:50 p.m. Now, the second is a very challenging day because the moon is in the sign of Virgo, so we want to roll up our sleeves and get to the task, whatever the task may be. And yet we may feel thwarted. We may feel as though there's detours, as though there's communication blocks, things aren't quite coming together in the way we would like. You want to keep a steady bead on whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish that day, and to really baby yourself, which sometimes is hard to do when the moon is in Virgo, because we just think, I got to be doing this, I should be doing that. What you want to be doing is you want to make sure that you eat foods that are good for you, that you get some sort of exercise, time in nature, ideally, and that if someone isn't listening to you, that you sit that person down and you really work on having a conversation. By the end of the day, 6:50 p.m., when the moon goes void, of course, you may feel as though everything is at terrific odds, but you started or you made concrete overtures to come to some kind of resolution. And sometimes that's as close as we can get. With the moon in Virgo, void of course, on Friday evening, do things that are self-healing. So walk in nature, therapeutic massage, bath, rejuvenating foods, things that really give you a sense of being loved and taken care of. Your body is indeed your temple. It is your vehicle that takes you through life. And when the moon is in Virgo, especially when it's void, of course, it's really asking to be taken care of. So Saturday, the moon enters Libra at 3:20 a.m. and this Libra moon carries us through the weekend. Saturday is a day when a responsibility needs to be taken care of. Step up to the plate. Shirking it is just going to make it worse. So guard against hearing a voice say you should do this, but pay attention to what needs to be done in order to allow you a sense of, I have stepped up to the plate and done what I needed to do, and now I'm free to do the things I'd like to do. Libra moon is always a nice weekend to be with people with whom you relate easily. However, with these particular aspects, again, Libra is a cardinal sign. There can be certain controversy, arguments, friction that occurs both on Saturday and on Sunday. So just know that that is a potential that's there, and make decisions on how deeply you want to go into controversy or conflict, if it's really helpful or productive. And we don't necessarily want to step away from controversy and conflict, but we do want to be productive in it. Otherwise, we're just going through the old hamster wheel of one person reacts to another in the same darn way. And that's not having a conversation. So overall, on March 4th, spend some of your time expending energy, doing things that make you feel connected with other people. And discussion can be very productive as long as individuals listen to one another without being so invested in their way of thinking that they are not able to really hear the other's point of view. So now I turn it over to Susie.
Okay. Of course, I was scrunching up my face because I'm actually away this week in Europe, and sadly one of my family members has died, and I'm going to a funeral, and I was scrunching up my nose because on the 2nd I'll be flying and when I hear the words communications and detours, I'm like, oh no. So but I'll try to baby myself at the airport. um,
Yes, do
and
that.
in
The little oxygen things or whatever. Just whatever makes you feel. You know, the thing about flying, or when I talk about these kind of snafus and things that happen, is the thing that stresses us out more is when we think that by huffing and puffing or getting stressed out about it, we're going to do anything. Sometimes the best thing to do is to just take advantage of the stasis and the fact that you are in this suspended space, and there's really nothing you can do other than to relate to fellow travelers and catch up on your reading.
Yes, and reading I will be, and traveling with my beautiful child I will be, so I'll have lots of good things to relate to. And while I'm traveling, I'll be doing a lot of reading about our trip to France, which is coming up in April. We have one spot left if anyone would like to join us to Sacred France, where Pam and I are going, and I'm going to be leading a Mary Magdalene sacred journey for the week in the area of the Languedoc, Rennes-le-Château, and we will be visiting Mary Magdalene, Cathar, Knights Templar sites, old castles, ruins, and we'll be doing meditations and activations. So if anyone feels very drawn to experience that, please contact me directly. You can reach me through susiemazzoli-healer.com. That's my website. And what we'll do now is we'll jump into our activation, our meditation for about 10 minutes. And as we do this, as always, I invite people to be sitting, if they can, in a very still position so that you can really get the benefit of the energy of the activation. And Pam, is there one big word that stands out for you for the week?
I would say the big word is harmony.
Harmony. Whew. One of my favorite words. Okay, so let's do our activation on harmony. So I invite you all to come into that seated position. And as we do this, just feeling your body relaxing, and off we go. Dear loved ones, we are the Master Teachers. As we work together, we invite you to find that place of peace within the body. And just feel yourself deepening into a place of quiet, into a place of what we would call openness. And what is interesting is how the body naturally finds harmony in the physical, in the mental, in the emotional, in the spiritual, in the energetic bodies. Left to its own devices, without manipulation or any type of interception, any kind of tweaking, the body really does find harmony. Are you able to trust that? Are you able to feel that? Are you able to experience that without trying? without pushing, without setting a limit or a time, without having an expectation, without having any type of concept even, just allowing the space for the body to relax, for those responses, for those mechanisms of the body that happen automatically, your breathing, the blood, everything that's just happening all the time in your body without you even lifting a finger. Just understand that all of this is about homeostasis. It's all about this beautiful state of harmony. And just as the body finds its natural functioning without literally your conscious thought, your conscious awareness, so too can you find this place of peace, this place of openness without exertion, without trying. It is effortless. And it is interesting that we have worked with many students who request that we teach them to meditate. And meditation is not something that is taught. It is something that is perhaps, let us say, found inside you, deep underneath all of the layers of experience, of learning, of what we would call time-oriented expectation. So this state of openness is just what is naturally there when you let everything else just be. And it does not mean that you need to try to quiet the mind or try to find peace or try to be still. Just allow it to become that, and it eventually will. So as we know this, there is let us say, an ease that comes about, an ease that it is all there and it is always there. This ease, this harmony, this state of deep peace, this state of quiet awareness. And as you begin to feel this, everything begins to become more flexible, more open, more relaxed. And there is so much more space. And when there is space, then there is much greater opportunity for what we would call creativity, resourcefulness, genius. There is so much more space for all of the potentials because there are no longer these categories, no longer these expectations, but just open space. Open space for the mind, for the body, for the emotions, for the spirit, for the energy field. And one recognizes that the energy field is not condensed and contained within this physical form, but that it does reach out from beyond the body. It does reach out, in fact, very far from the physical body, and along what you would call the lines of perception, or what you would call the awareness, that the energy field actually extends in every direction, everywhere. And there are no longer any limitations of location, of 3 dimensions, of time as you understand it. And there is the freedom of consciousness. And with all of this freedom, there is an opening of the heart, an opening of the heart so that one is able to truly experience unconditional love. Unconditional love that is so sweet that it does not require words or even touch. It does not need to be personified, as in one person or a family member or a lover, or even towards what would one call a deity. There is just this sweetness of love without the object, without the concept. And what would it be like for you to be, say, alone, that you have no friends, no family, that you are perhaps in a bubble, so to speak. You function, you do your work, you are surrounded by the world. But what happens when these personified love relationships aren't there? And you must find this love in other ways. Love from the self, love from the universe. So we invite you to take this feeling of love that is not in any way attached to a relationship, to a thing, to a concept, to a self, and just allow love to be just an energy field, like the air that you breathe, like the atomic structure that holds perhaps everything together. Allow it to be the fabric, the literal fabric of life itself. And in that, find freedom, find harmony, and find that sweetness, that graciousness of being. And when you are in this place, dear loved ones, you will not be involved with drama. You will not be involved with fear. You will not be involved with what we would call the roller coaster ride. But you will be involved with what would be a totally self-directed, harmonious existence, where you are perceptive and you are discerning and you are engaged, but you are not derailed, you are not disgusted. You are in acceptance and understanding and in such a huge field of compassion that the golden light radiates from your being and from your heart center. And this, dear loved ones, is where everyone on this planet is now heading, to this place of what you would call absolute compassion. And the road might appear to be quite rocky and tricky, challenging to say the least. But underlying all of what you see now is this opportunity to be in a state of deepest compassion. We invite you to bring this compassion harmoniously now into your existences. With love and with peace, we are the Master Teachers. We are complete. We thank you. Wow, that was a very strong activation for me. And
Absolutely. It was.
a lot of the work that we're doing privately with people and with students, and a lot of the events that have been happening around the world and what we know are happening, I think it's such an important message to keep coming back, just keep coming back to compassion.
Absolutely.
So, Pam, is your tarot class is starting soon?
Well, my tarot class started on February 24th, but if people are interested, they can still jump on because you'll get the recording. It happens on Saturdays between 11 and 2 Eastern time. And then people get the recording. And some people can never be present on Saturday when I'm doing it live. But what's really important, if you want to sign up, is that you start doing the work, because throughout the week you will be getting exercises to do that deepens your understanding of the tarot. And tarot is just a wonderful tool to open up the visual language of self-knowledge and understanding. So yes, I'm very excited. It's a great group of people. If someone feels moved to join, go to my website, insightoasis.com, and put in the search Tarot Journey, and that'll bring up the page about the course.
Great, and it's not too late for people to still join up.
Right, no, they can join up this week. Joining up after next week may be a little rushed trying to catch up with the work, but I think it's still doable because it's 11 classes, but it's spread over the months and doesn't finish until late June. So there is time for people to catch up with the work, and you shouldn't do something like try to learn tarot quickly, because you can't. It's more of a marinating process. So it's really, and it's a fun course. It's know thyself.
Right, and I must jump on because I was unable to be there, so I'm also joining the class. So I'll be there with everybody. Can't wait to be there. And if anyone would like to work with me, Energy Healing School LA, Energy Healing School NY, we have new classes starting in both New York and in Los Angeles. So if you go to those websites, you will find all the information. New classes starting in March. Also, these classes are available online. So you can work with us together in the classroom or receive the recordings. And I'm teaching Reiki 1, 2, and 3 through 12 classes. I'm teaching energetic healing through the chakras 1 through 7. We also cover crystals, sound healing, and very deep exploration of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of what we call illness and disease, and what we call healing and health. And if you would like to join me, we set up an interview and we talk to everybody before to make sure it's a good match for the class. So please contact me. I'd love to hear from you. And also, if you would like to do a private session with me doing homeopathy or any type of energy healing by phone or in person in New York City, susiemazzoli-healer.com, and I look forward to working with you. So I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and that we can find that very deep compassion and the harmony within. So thank you so much, Pam.
Okay, yes. And just again, if you're interested in finding out about how to get our subscription for stokethefire.guru, go to that website and you can sign up for 6 weeks at half price and see how you like getting the audio the night before. Or if you want to sign up for a year, it's a great deal. You can also get a complimentary session with either Susie or myself. And you can find out about me at insightoasis.com, or as I said, stokethefire.guru. So have a great week.
Lots of love. Love now.